Urban is played religiously. Ukwe ni mtu wa uptown, downtown, ghetto, wapi, ocha, everybody is listening to that song. All young people have come up to pick up the song. Sijui kama ni maandamano ndio iliyoingiza kwa hiyo kitu ama ni nini, but something just made Kenyans, all of them identify to urban tone. And the beauty of urban tone is they are sampling everything. From Mugithi, warudi kwa ngoma za like we see hata kina AJ wametoa Atoti the other day. Like they've sampled Benga, and you'll find also artists like kina BN, kina Charisma, kina Suda are all singing with these urban tone musicians. So basically everybody is merging with that with that sound to work with it. And I read your book and I understood it, and I got your point when you said that lack of having a national voice is what has kept our music away. And when I started my delivery, I said one thing: the same way with our many tribes, we don't have a national dish like other countries. We don't have a national dress like other countries. Because everything was divided. We've never had anything that we can say this is Kenyan. Maybe Tusker, okay. Lakini pia fight na Pilsner. So we've never really...
With Kenyan music, let's be honest for a minute. As a Kenyan, if I hear all those different genres of Nigerian music, whoever is singing, even if it's a non-Nigerian singing it, but I can tell there's some Nigerian, there's some Afrobeatish element to this.
But that's what my point is. So, like if you take Zuchu's most popular song, Sukari, the same song, same lyrics, give it to Nadia. Would you call that bongo flavor?
No, it's a Kenyan song.
No,
it's gonna be Nadia's song because.
So this lack of connectivity you talk about, what is it in a lack of connectivity that makes it difficult for a genre to be accepted globally?
So one thing that everybody must understand is that music is a representation of culture. So when you're doing music, what part of your culture are you representing? What's the reason why in all these big festivals, there's never a Kenyan there? Because one of the main reasons why you don't see them is because a lot of our music is copycat music. And people, especially out of Africa, when they're inviting an artist here, they're expecting you to bring your culture with you. That's what they want to see, okay? They don't want to see an Africanized version of 50 Cent or whoever. That's where we go wrong. If we take this modern genre, because something like Kapuka was very danceable music. Like we used to play Kapuka and even people who did not understand what it was would jump to it. But the thing, it was missing that cultural attachment, that cultural element. What is it that identifies it as Kenyan music? If they had taken that music and added that just benga guitar, because that benga guitar is so distinct, it's just Kenyan, I think it would have gone further.
Well, then,
go ahead.
I have an argument on that point.
Okay.
Because the thing is, as Kenya, we have never had our sound that's unique, right?
Yes.
Just the same way we've never had our traditional dress. We've never had a national food, right? Mm-hmm. We've always been, because of the tribalism, of course, we've always been a country that has several cultures and different cultures, and we've always shown on our different cultures how it is. Like Wakikuyu wako na rurasho yao na vitu zao, Wafanya, Wajaluo wako na vitu zao, Waluya, Wakisii, Wamasai, and everybody has different things that they do. So it goes back to it does the same to our music. And I think that these younger generations, right?
Yeah.
These younger generation that it is right in Kenya, vile wako sahi. Kenya sahi Sheng inaongelewa country mzima. Kila mahali mpaka ushago. Sheng si lugha ya Nairobi pekee, right? So when they come up with their songs and they come up with what they're doing, and then as the older generation try to push them back to Nambia, hapana hii ngoma yenu sound fit inafaa kusound hivi, because in our generation we've tried so much to fit in everywhere else because you didn't have anything single to recognize yourself with. I feel like we are pushing them back because their sound can just be a Kenyan sound as it's known right now. Well, like inaweza continue sound ya Kenya, like that is it. We don't really need a unique thing. We have all these different things that we're doing, but when this generation does their urban tone, ama wafanye ilikuwa inaitwaje gengeton, whatever they were doing. Remember gengeton during pandemic, it transcended the whole world. It was playing everywhere. But there was a group of people who felt like, it doesn't represent us. Kwa sababu, si feel like ni kama sheng niko in touch na hiyo sheng vile iko sana. Si feel vile, as in, mbona wanaija wanaimba hivi, mbona sisi tunaimba hivi different. Watanzania wanaimba hivi, mbona sisi tunaimba hivi different. Like, why don't we just let it be? That is, hiyo ndo sound natoka Kenya. Whatever sound comes from Kenya and evolves. It's the same with America. Hip-hop is a culture, but hip-hop has been evolving over the years, regardless of the South. When the South is the one that is representing, ikikuja ni Northeast no represent, ikienda ni West no represent, whichever sound was popping at that time, that was the representative of hip-hop outside of the world. Why can't we just do that? The same thing that country does.
Okay,
or other genres do.
Okay, Jojo, respond to me.
That's the exact reason why Kenyan music is not going international. Unakumbuka, hip hop ilianza New York, vile walianza, there was sampling R&B and other classics.
Mm-hmm.
So walidandia, okay? I've talked about how Afrobeats ilianza.
Mm-hmm.
Bongo flavor, ukiona hata Zuchu akiimba pale kuna Uswahili, kuna tarabu, kuna nini, there's a certain swag, okay?
Yeah.
Music must have it mustn't have, but the elements that make music is the sound, the swag, mm-hmm. and the dance.
Yeah.
Okay? Does it have a distinct sound? Yes or no?
If you listen to urban tone and gengeton has a distinct sound, utajua ni urban tone ama gengeton.
Now let me intervene here, and also let me give my perspective as a consumer. So mm-hmm. Tanzania, for example, they have more tribes than Kenya, but all the people who are singing from the different regions of Tanzania, there is still a certain element that you're gonna hear, and you can tell this is a Tanzanian song. Ngoja nimalize. So the thing where, like, when we're talking about gengeton, like going global, I think there's a couple of songs that went viral, and there's two different things between going global and going viral, because going global means there's a sustainable sound. You see, like if Burna Boy disappeared today, Afrobeat will still continue. If Davido disappeared today, Afrobeat will still will still continue. Same with Amapiano. Yes. So there's certain things, there's certain elements of Amapiano that you hear, despite the fact that we know South Africa has different languages and different communities, but there's a certain element of South Africanness that you can still feel in that music. I think me trying to understand, because I was in the same school of thought as Mika, but me trying, after reading what Jojo's book and trying to understand him, is that because of this disconnect, this unique sound keeps changing. Like what Kapuka sounded like, gengeton is something entirely different. What other genres, these subgenres that popped up, they're all disconnected, so there's not enough time for them to marinate and people to feel like this is a Kenyan sound. One of the sounds that's marinating is the sound that Sauti Sol have, and you see Sauti Sol are actively trying to connect the music. Jojo, back to you.
Yeah, so the disconnect that's in the Kenyan music industry is because we are not intentional about embracing parts of our culture. Music is an integral part of culture, and you cannot have a sound that's national or international if there's no distinct elements that people can identify. Okay, so the music that's coming out of Kenya, first of all, we say Kenyan music, it's actually Nairobi music. You leave Nairobi, na mashinani ukifika ni benga. While a lot of Nairobi musicians are complaining juu ya do, wanamuziki wa benga, especially kule Ukambani, wanacheza clubs almost every day.
Yeah.
Unaona? So I'm not blaming these young musicians now wanafanya urban. In fact, there's a certain thing I like about urban tone. Urban tone, kitu ya kwanza, me notice ni dance. Nikiangalia hata kama wajafanya, the way they're dancing, I know these kids are Kenyan. So that's a really good thing. The other thing is they're sampling genge music. All right. Also, genge music had no connection. Kenyan cultural foundation. At least they're going there. So there's some kind of a future with these young artists, and then they keep on changing the names. It's genge to now this new kid.
They're totally different.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. So this gengeton came from genge, okay, or influenced. Urban influenced by genge, but they don't want to use the genge, all right? And for me, genge was not even a sound. To me, genge was the storytelling kutoka mtaani. For the first time, nilisikia stories za mtaani that I've never had before, okay? Kapuka was more like just dance music. Lakini hii ilikuwa it gives you like a visual reflection of how the neighborhood was where you came from.
Yeah. So
that is what Genge was to me.
Kapuka was a bit upmarket neighborhood in Nairobi. Unaingia South C, Nairobi West. It was a bit of upmarket. Genge ilikuwa ni East Lando. Genge ni East Lando. Unaona
actually the difference between those two songs was based on studio. Kapuka ilikuwa ni watu wa Ogopa, Genge ilikuwa watu wa Kali.
Yes, and watu wa Kali ilikuwa ni watu wa East Lando. Watu wa Ogopa walikuwa ni watu wa South B, watu wa Nairobi West, watu wa South C. It was totally divided. It was totally divided by neighborhoods.
Remember that watu wa Badman Camp who walikuwa Ogopa wakatoka wali switch ngoma zao akaziita Genge.
So that was later
based on just whichever studio you are recording is where that music was coming from. So hiyo ndio ulikuwa unachagua unajikategorize wewe mwenyewe.
Yeah, and that was a bit later
but Genge ilitoka kwa watu vile Jojo amesema ilikuwa ni kina nonini watu wa mtaani, like ilikuwa kitu different, like ni gani yetu, Genge yetu.
Because unaona sasa kina Isa, because I grew up in Nairobi West, I could identify with Isa's music because hizo stories zao ni za watu wa Nairobi West, South C, and even when this group Badman Camp ejected themselves from Ogopa, it was just a feud that happened, wakajitoa na wakaingia Genge, but hao watu wa Badman Camp, kina Red Sun, I think kina Longombas, Longombas, Googs the Vilibanton were a bit unique because kina Googs were from Googs alikuwa ametoka Inako Umoja, but when you look at Nameless, when you look at the Longombas, those are all South Sea kids, do historians. Hao ni watu walikuwa Nairobi West, Nyashinsky, Nairobi West. So it was also, it also became, like kind of like a neighborhood thing. And part of the reason even watu walikata hiyo jina Genge and Kapuka came into being is because they wanted to separate themselves. But Jojo, back to you.
No, before Jojo.
Before Jojo comes in, I wanted to throw in a point. I threw in a point about Abanton, and that is why I'm insisting on this sound. It's like over the few years that I've been going back to Kenya, and every time I would go out, and even when last year we had Sunny on the here, remember there was one thing we were complaining, a lot of us were complaining, they don't play Kenyan music in the clubs, right? Abanton, right now, like the times I went out and the different places I went out, Abanton is played religiously. ukuwe ni mtu wa uptown, downtown, ghetto, wapi, ocha, everybody is listening to that sound. All the young people have come up to pick up the sound. Sijui kama ni maandamano ndio iliyoingiza kwa hiyo kitu ama ni nini, but something just made Kenyans, all of them identify to urban tone. And the beauty of urban tone is they are sampling everything. From Mugithi, warudi kwa ngoma za like we see hata kina AJ wametoa Atoti the other day. Like they've sampled Benga, and you'll find also artists like kina BN, kina Charisma, kina Suda are all singing with these urban tone musicians. So basically everybody is merging with that with that sound to work with it. And I read your book and I understood it, and I got your point when you said that lack of having a national voice is what has kept our music away. And when I started my delivery, I said one thing: the same way with our many tribes, we don't have a national dish like other countries. We don't have a national dress like other countries, because everything was divided. We've never had anything that we can say this is Kenyan. Maybe Tusker, okay. Lakini pia ufight na Pilsner. So we've never really had anything that we can say this is Kenyan. In yetu ya Kenya, unaona. But then here right now, we are at a situation whereby we have a voice, we have a sound that actually we can push out. Because even if you look at urban, if you look at the Nigerian voice, what do you call it?
Afrobeat ikitokea, there was very different versions of Afrobeats. Hata sahi kuna version mbili za Afrobeats. Kuna Oja Piano, which is Niger, and Amapiano that's mixed yenye kina Shakio Push, and then kuna irregular Afrobeat kina Davido na kina nani, kina wanaitwaje, kina Davido na kina Burna Boy, and then kuna hii kina Mobad na kina Naira Marley. So they have like three different sounds that they push, but at the end of the day, because our kila kitu ya wote kwa kisupport, we can do the same thing in Kenya. Instead of trying to look, it's too late for us to try to look for one voice. Right. We can refine our voice and mix it with our culture and send it out. That is a way of giving us better music. The way kina Shabuzi wamemix hip hop na country. Yeah, we can do that. Instead of saying like, let's look for just one common voice, right? It's too late. Okay.
So let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with the definition of bongo flavor as a genre. And I'm not sure if it's the singer, has to be from TZ, if it's the language, or what Jojo said about mixing some stuff. Because if you get Zuchu's music, and let's say instrumental, and give it to Nadia to sing, would you call that bongo flavor?
If you get Zuchu's music, instrumental,
and
give it to Nadia to sing,
would you call that bongo flavor?
I'd call it Nadia's music.
If you get Focalistic, who's Amapiano, one of the great Amapiano, if you get the instrumental and give it to Diamond to sing, would you call that Amapiano? Yes.
So you see, ngoja kidogo Jojo.
So if you get Davido's instrumental.
Ngoja kidogo Jojo. There's a song that Diamond sang, ile godolo limeloweka maji ayo waiona hiyo.
Yes.
So that song, when you hear it, you can until when he starts saying godolo limeloweka maji. So that's when you start hearing the Swahili, but you can feel that this has an Amapiano.
So that's my point.
Tune to it. Yes.
There's identity in Amapiano and Afrobeat in compa, which is what they sing nowadays.
Yeah.
What they call bongo flavor is compa. Right? It's almost now 100% compa. If you listen to Mario's and those people, all they sing, if you just mute, right? If you mute you'll be like, this is compa, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that's my point. That's why I'm getting an issue when people say, bongo flavor is doing very well, and I ask myself, what is bongo flavor?
No, lakini I think so. Like just going back to what Jojo was saying, and I think umesema there's a caller. We're going to get to the caller. Yes. I think to what Jojo was saying is that with Kenyan music, let's be honest for a minute. As a Kenyan, if I hear all those different genres of Nigerian music, whoever is singing, even if it's a non-Nigerian singing it, but I can tell there's some Nigerian, there's some Afrobeatish element to this.
But that's what my point is.
So
Like if you take Zuchu's most popular song, Sukari,
Yeah,
the same song, same lyrics,
yeah,
give it to Nadia.
yeah.
Would you call that bongo flavor?
No, it's
yes.
a Kenyan song.
No,
it's gonna be, it's gonna be Nadia's song
no,
because at the end of the day, let's
Mika
look at it this way.
Ngoja, we can agree to disagree.
Okay.
Where I'm disagreeing is that when an outsider is listening to these Kenyan genres,
Yes.
they have no way. If you randomly give an outsider these Kenyan genres, and you see like when you put Nadia on a bongo, or like when you put a bongo artist on an amapiano, it's still amapiano regardless of whether it's a bongo artist.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying is that layer of music with the Kenyan music, we are inside the Kenyan music scene, so we understand it. But for someone who's coming from outside, who's just listening to that beat, they will have difficulty in
So
telling
that's
that
my
this
point,
is
Ali.
this is the Kenyan music, and I think that's what Jojo is talking
No,
about.
it's the same thing about
identity.
bongo flavor.
Yeah,
If it
it's the
wasn't,
same
for,
thing
the,
about
if it
bongo
wasn't
flavor.
for the local market,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying, bongo flavor is popular because of the local market and because the stories are related to what's happening in the country, which is the same thing that Jojo said.
Yes.
Right? When they sing about, there's some very popular song nowadays from, I don't know the name of the artist, but it's all about what's going on in the country right now. But I don't see bongo flavor as the music. It's just whether it's instrumental or whether we're playing the instruments, or if you take out the lyrics, nobody can really say this is bongo flavor. You can play just instrument and say this is on a piano, right? You can have a 1 hour mix of on a piano. You can have 1 hour mix of Afrobeat.
Yeah.
If you take out all the stuff, you can play and say this DJ is playing 1 hour, non-stop of bongo flavor.
Yeah.
Nobody will say that.
The thing is this, and the thing
We're
is
gonna
this,
pick up the call.
we also being too harsh on when you're saying it. Most of these musicians that we're listening to them right now are also trying to take a modern feel, but they're also trying to transcend their borders. So most of their music is an Afro fusion of something. It's not just a voice that you can say it's their voice. This is our voice. Even the Nigerian musicians, they've fusioned their sound to something modern. So I get what Bandio is saying.
Yeah, Mika, my point is we give too much credit to bongo flavor.
And if you take out the musician, you will not recognize who that song is if you moved it to another side.
Yeah.
Because of that fusion that is coming in to get to that modern voice. That is why I'm saying, instead of trying to say that we are looking for a one voice right now, why don't we use in IT we use something. There's a process of working called IT, which usually tells you, instead of trying to spoil something and start from scratch, why don't you just start fixing from where you are?
I mean, it's not like we don't have it. In Bongo we have Singeli.
That's true.
Originally from there, and it was a little popular, but it doesn't sell.
Lakini Bongo, before we go to the caller, Bongo has, and I think we are missing what Jojo is saying. Bongo, despite being, slightly, it still does have some connection. Bado utasikia Katara. Story-wise. But hata bado utasikia Katara. No, hata kuna sounds za Tara bado utasikia. Kuna certain sounds. Unaona kama Maria Salome ya Diamond. Alitoa kwa Saida Karoli.
Yes.
So you can still feel it's a Diamond song. But there's still a connection, not as strong as maybe South Africa.
But then,
not as strong
as
because no, it's not being unfair.
He sampled something.
Mika,
the same way Jojo alisema.
Mika, we can agree to disagree.
Alisample ngoma fulani gonna sound Kiluya.
Mika,
so if you sample something, it's gonna sound.
We can agree to disagree on that.